Respect begins with the person you see in the mirror. Before the world takes cues on how to value you, it quietly studies how you value yourself. The tone of your self-talk, the standards you uphold, the boundaries you enforce, all of it broadcasts a message. If you diminish your worth in your own mind, others will simply mirror that reflection back to you. The foundation of being respected isn't external approval. It's the quiet conviction that you are worthy, regardless of who recognizes it. When you hold self-respect, you stop negotiating your value for acceptance. You don't chase validation because you no longer need it to feel seen. There's a certain calmness that comes from knowing who you are, a steadiness that can't be shaken by someone else's opinion. People sense that steadiness. They feel the difference between someone begging for acknowledgement and someone simply existing in alignment with their truth. Self-respect isn't arrogance. It doesn't shout, and it doesn't demand attention. It's the posture of someone who knows their time, their energy, and their presence matter. It's in the way you say no without apology. It's in the way you speak up when something feels wrong, even if your voice trembles. It's in the small choices, choosing rest over burnout, peace over drama, and integrity over approval. Many people confuse humility with self-disrespect. They think lowering themselves will win favor. But all it does is teach others to keep lowering them. True humility isn't about shrinking, it's about standing firm without needing to stand above. You can be kind and still be firm. You can be compassionate and still be clear. Self-respect is knowing the line between giving and losing yourself. The way you treat yourself sets the standard for every relationship you'll ever have. If you tolerate neglect, you invite it. If you honor your time, you attract those who will do the same. When you practice self-respect, you become a mirror that reflects how you expect to be treated. It's not about being defensive. It's about being defined. People learn your boundaries not because you explain them endlessly, but because you live them consistently. Sometimes self-respect means walking away from what doesn't serve you. That can be a job, a friendship, or even a familiar version of yourself. It's not easy. It takes courage to leave spaces that no longer recognize your value. But every time you choose yourself, you reinforce your own worth. The more you act on that belief, the stronger it becomes, and the less room you have for those who don't see it. Self-respect is a practice, not a destination. It grows in the moments when you could have settled but didn't, when you could have stayed silent but spoke, when you could have chased but chose to pause. It's built in daily decisions, not grand declarations. And over time, it reshapes how the world interacts with you because you've reshaped how you interact with yourself. Every boundary, every choice, every quiet act of self-care becomes a message. This is how I deserve to be treated. The respect you seek externally begins internally. When you lead yourself with dignity, others will follow that example, not because you asked them to, but because you showed them how. Silence is not weakness, it's strategy. The silence has a power most people underestimate. In a world where everyone rushes to speak, to defend, to react, silence becomes a rare form of control. It's the space between stimulus and response, the place where composure lives. When someone disrespects you, your silence doesn't mean you're defeated. It means you refuse to hand over your emotional energy to chaos. You are choosing to stay rooted when others want to pull you into their storm. There's wisdom in holding your tongue, in letting the noise of others expose itself. The louder someone gets, the clearer their insecurity becomes. When you stay quiet, you invite people to reveal who they are without interference. Silence then becomes a mirror. It reflects truth without argument. It allows you to observe, to think, and to decide from clarity rather than reaction. That's strength disguised as stillness. Silence also teaches presence. It gives you the chance to listen not only to others, but to yourself. When you're silent, you can hear your own boundaries whispering that, don't go there. Don't respond to that. Don't give away your peace. This inner guidance gets drowned out by noise, but silence brings it back. And when you start following that voice, you stop needing to prove yourself to those who never intended to understand you. Many assume that silence equals surrender, but often it's the opposite. It's the act of reclaiming control over what you give attention to. You realize that not every battle deserves a response, and not every opinion deserves space in your mind. Silence doesn't mean you're ignoring the disrespect. It means you're acknowledging it without giving it power. You're choosing to invest your energy in growth, not reaction. The strategy behind silence lies in its timing. There are moments when words can heal, and moments when they only deepen the wound. Silence gives you that pause to discern the difference. It's not about avoidance, it's about precision. It's about choosing when to speak in a way that elevates, rather than reacting in a way that diminishes. When you master silence, you become unpredictable to those who thrive on control. People who disrespect you often seek reaction, anger, defense, or pain. Your silence denies them that satisfaction. It confuses them, disarms them, and eventually distances them. Because silence, in its calmest form, says, you no longer have access to me. In silence, your dignity grows. The absence of noise becomes your boundary, your self-respect made visible. You're no longer fighting to be heard. You've learned that not every voice deserves your reply. And in that stillness, something shifts. You stop chasing validation, and you start commanding respect without ever needing to raise your voice. Boundaries are silent protectors. Assertive boundaries are not walls. They are doors with locks, tools that let you decide who enters, how long they stay, and how they treat the space once they're inside. They don't scream for attention or demand understanding. They simply exist, quietly shaping how others interact with you. You don't need to justify them, explain them, or apologize for them. Their strength lies in their silence, in the calm consistency of being upheld even when no one else approves. Most people lose respect not because they're unworthy of it, because they fail to draw a line, they allow too much access, say yes too often, and stay quiet too long when disrespected. A lack of boundaries teaches others that your time, your energy, your emotions are available on demand. But when you create limits, you teach people how to value your space. It's not about shutting people out. It's about inviting the right ones in. Boundaries are a form of self-teaching. Every time you set one, you're reminding yourself of your worth. You're telling yourself, I am not responsible for carrying what isn't mine. That's not selfishness. That's emotional intelligence. You start to realize that protecting your peace is not rejection of others, it's reflection of self-respect. And the more you practice that, the less chaos you attract. Holding a boundary is often uncomfortable. People who benefit from your lack of them will push back. They'll question you, guilt you, or accuse you of changing. But that discomfort is proof that your boundary is working. You are disrupting a dynamic that was built on your silence. The moment you stop overextending yourself, the balance of power shifts. And that's exactly what growth feels like. Boundaries don't need to be loud to be firm. You don't have to argue or explain why you said no. The quiet repetition of your actions will speak for you. When you stop replying to messages that drain you, stop showing up where you're disrespected, stop engaging in conversations that go nowhere. You're communicating through action. Silence becomes your enforcement. Consistency becomes your clarity. Think of boundaries as invisible armor. They don't make you untouchable, they make you intentional. They let you move through the world without absorbing everything that happens around you. You can still care deeply, still love fully, still show compassion, but you do so with awareness. You know where you end and where others begin. That's what keeps you whole. With time, boundaries start doing the talking for you. People learn how to approach you, what tone to use, what's acceptable and what isn't. You no longer need to lecture anyone about respect because your energy carries that message. The silent protector stands guard not through confrontation, but through consistency. You keep showing up for yourself, and the world slowly learns to follow that example. When you treat your boundaries as sacred, they stop feeling like barriers and start feeling like freedom. You're not shutting life out. You're allowing it to come in on your terms. And that's the quiet beauty of it. You no longer need to fight for respect when your very presence commands it through the lines you no longer allow others to cross. As detachment is power. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop caring what isn't yours. It's the quiet recognition that not every battle deserves your sword, and not every opinion requires your defense. When you detach, you're not withdrawing from life, you're withdrawing from a necessary entanglement. You learn to observe without absorbing, to witness disrespect without letting it define you. That's not indifference, that's maturity. People often mistake detachment for coldness, but it's really clarity. It's the ability to stand in your truth while allowing others to stand in theirs, even when they're wrong about you. You stop needing to correct every misconception or control every narrative. You understand that peace doesn't come from convincing others. It comes from knowing yourself so deeply that their misunderstanding no longer shakes you. Detachment gives you perspective. When you're no longer emotionally glued to someone's disrespect, you can finally see it for what it is, a reflection of their chaos, not yours. You start to recognize that people project what they refuse to process. Their behavior says everything about them and nothing about your worth. Detachment creates that space where you can respond, not react, where you can decide, not defend. It takes strength to not be moved by every vibration around you. The world rewards those who shout back, who prove themselves, who fight for acknowledgement. But there's a higher form of power, the kind that smiles, steps back, and walks away. You don't lose energy trying to fix what refuses to be healed. You stop giving your peace away in exchange for understanding. You simply choose distance over drama. Detachment is also a teacher. It reveals how often we attach our identity to external validation, to being liked, accepted, or seen as good. When you detach, you start peeling those layers away. You begin to see that your worth was never tied to someone's approval, that you were whole before their judgment and will remain whole after it. In that realization, something liberating happens. You stop performing for respect and start embodying it. Sometimes detachment means watching people walk away without chasing them. It's trusting that their absence creates room for alignment. It's knowing that silence and space can heal more than confrontation ever could. Detachment allows you to let go without resentment, to release without revenge, to wish well and move on. That kind of peace can't be taken. It's earned through discipline. When you master detachment, you begin to navigate relationships with purpose, not fear. You no longer cling to what's breaking because you trust what's meant for you won't require constant fixing. You stop responding to disrespect with resistance and start responding with removal. That quiet exit, that unannounced decision to protect your peace, is one of the most powerful forms of self-respect you'll ever practice. Detachment doesn't make you emotionless, it makes you emotionally free. It allows you to feel without falling apart, to care without collapsing, to love without losing yourself. It's not about building walls, it's about building balance. And when you reach that balance, you no longer chase respect from others, you radiate it from within. A non-reaction confuses disrespect. A disrespect thrives on reaction. It feeds on the energy you give it. The arguments, the explanations, the attempts to defend your worth. When you stop reacting, you cut off its oxygen. The moment you no longer respond to the noise, it begins to starve. This is the paradox of power sometimes, saying nothing says everything. Your calmness becomes a language that few can argue with. When someone disrespects you, they often want to show an emotional outburst, a loss of control, proof that they've gotten under your skin. Non-reaction denies them that satisfaction. It exposes the smallness behind their behavior. While they expect chaos, they find composure. That mismatch disarms them. It forces them to confront their own behavior without your participation. In silence, their own words echo louder than anything you could say. Non-reaction is not ignorance, it's intelligence. It's the understanding that not every insult deserves acknowledgement, not every provocation deserves attention. You begin to see that responding to every slight only keeps you anchored to the same level as the one throwing it. Rising above doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen. It means recognizing that it's not worth the cost of your peace. There is a quiet strength in choosing not to engage. It doesn't mean you're afraid to speak. It means you know the difference between what needs your voice and what doesn't. You understand that some battles are traps disguised as opportunities to prove yourself. But when you remain still, you take away the stage, you remind everyone, including yourself, that not every performance deserves an audience. Non-reaction also rewires your emotional discipline. It teaches you patience, awareness, and control. You start noticing that the less you react, the more powerful your presence becomes. People who once sought to provoke you begin to lose interest. They can't play a game when you refuse to pick up the pieces. Over time, your peace becomes your armor and your silence becomes your authority. There's also dignity in restraint. Responding with anger might feel justified, but it rarely changes anything. Your calm, however, speaks volumes. It communicates that you're not available for disrespect, that you value your energy too much to waste it on the unworthy. This kind of composure can't be faked. It's cultivated through self-respect and discipline. The beauty of non-reaction is that it doesn't only silence others, it strengthens you. You stop being tossed around by external chaos and start living from internal clarity. You realize that power isn't about control over others. It's about control over yourself. When disrespect meets stillness, it loses direction. When noise meets silence, it runs out of purpose. And in that quiet, something shifts. The world begins to recognize that your peace is not negotiable. You no longer teach people how to push your buttons. You teach them that you no longer have any. Consistency builds reputation. Respect isn't earned through grand gestures, it's built through quiet consistency. The way you show up every day, how you speak, how you respond, how you hold your standards, that's what defines you in the eyes of others. One calm reaction might surprise people, but a pattern of calmness builds identity. Consistency is credibility. It tells the world, this is who I am, without you ever needing to announce it. When you're consistent, people know what to expect from you. You become steady in a world full of unpredictability. You don't bend with every opinion or lose yourself in every confrontation. Your steadiness becomes your signature. And in time, others begin to respect it, not because they agree with you, but because they can rely on you. That reliability becomes a quiet source of power, the kind that earns trust even from those who once doubted you. Consistency isn't about perfection, it's about alignment. It's about matching your actions to your principles, even when no one's watching. When you keep choosing calm over chaos, integrity over impulse, and boundaries over comfort, people begin to see that your behavior isn't performance, it's conviction. That's the kind of consistency that doesn't just command respect, it inspires it. Inconsistency, on the other hand, weakens respect. When your words say one thing but your actions say another, people lose faith in your stance. You can't expect others to value your boundaries if you abandon them under pressure. Consistency is how you prove that your principles aren't situational, they're foundational. The more consistently you uphold them, the less you'll need to explain yourself. Consistency also builds reputation quietly over time. It's not instant. It's in the moments you walk away instead of arguing, the moments you choose peace instead of pride, the moments you keep your word even when it's inconvenient. Those small acts accumulate. They form the story people tell about you when you're not in the room. And that story, more than anything, defines your reputation. It's tempting to think respect comes from dramatic moments of strength, but it's usually the opposite. It's the subtle discipline of showing up the same way in every situation. honest, calm, and grounded. You don't need to prove your strength when you've already demonstrated it through consistency. People stop testing your boundaries when they realize they don't bend. Consistency also stabilizes your own self-respect. When your behavior matches your values, you stop second-guessing yourself. You begin to trust your own judgment because you've seen it hold steady through pressure. That inner trust radiates outward. People can sense it. It's not loud confidence. It's quiet certainty. And that certainty is magnetic. When you choose to be consistent, you stop chasing respect and start embodying it. You no longer need to demand that others see your worth. Your actions reveal it over time. In a world where most people change with the weather, being consistent is revolutionary. It's proof that integrity still speaks louder than words. As energy is currency, hours every day you spend energy on thoughts, on people, on emotions. Some of it brings you peace and some of it drains you completely. When you begin to see your energy as currency, you start to spend it differently. You realize that attention is a form of investment, and not everyone or everything deserves it. Just as you wouldn't hand money to those who waste it, you learn to stop giving energy to those who don't respect it. Your energy reveals what you value. The more you invest in conflict, the poorer you become in peace. The more you give to those who take without gratitude, the emptier you feel inside. But when you direct your energy toward growth, toward people who reciprocate, toward actions that align with your values, life quietly starts to shift. You begin to feel full, not from what you receive, but from what you preserve. Disrespect becomes easier to recognize when you understand energy. It's not always in words. Sometimes it's in how you feel after someone leaves the room. If you're constantly exhausted around certain people, that's a form of imbalance. Protecting your energy doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means being selective with where you pour your attention. It means recognizing that peace isn't free, it's purchased with the choices you make. When you treat your energy as valuable, you start setting natural boundaries without having to announce them. You stop chasing closure. You stop explaining your worth. You stop fighting to be seen by people committed to misunderstanding you. The simple act of pulling your energy back speaks louder than any confrontation could. That quiet withdrawal is how you reclaim your power. Energy management is also a form of emotional maturity. It's knowing that not every situation requires your full engagement. You can care without consuming, observe without absorbing, love without losing yourself. This awareness turns your energy into something intentional, not something reactive. You're no longer drained by every disrespectful moment because you've learned to guard your focus like treasure. People who don't respect you often test your limits to see how much you'll give. But when your energy is guarded, those tests fail quickly. They sense your restraint, your calm distance, your unwillingness to participate in their chaos. And eventually they stop trying, because nothing confuses disrespect more than someone who simply refuses to feed it. The more you protect your energy, the more powerful your presence becomes. You start to radiate calmness that can't be faked. The kind that comes from someone who's done the work to stay grounded. You no longer seek validation through reaction. Your peace becomes the proof of your strength. Energy, when preserved, transforms into clarity, focus, and confidence. And perhaps the most freeing realization of all is this: your energy is your responsibility. No one else will protect it for you. The moment you start treating it like currency, spending it wisely, saving it intentionally, and investing it purposefully, you stop living at the mercy of other people's behavior and start living in alignment with your own worth. Unzas respect is not demanded, it's reflected. You can't force people to respect you. You can only model what respect looks like through your actions, your tone, your boundaries, and your consistency. When you embody respect, you set a silent standard that others can either rise to or remove themselves from. Demanding respect often comes from insecurity, reflecting it comes from certainty. The more you live in alignment with who you are, the less you'll need to ask for what you naturally attract. Respect isn't something you chase, it's something you mirror. When you speak to others with calm confidence, when you handle conflict with grace, when you hold firm to your principles without aggression, that energy speaks louder than any demand ever could. People begin to notice. They might not always agree with you, but they can't deny the integrity in how you carry yourself. That's the quiet authority that earns lasting respect. The truth is, the world treats you based on what you consistently reflect back. If you project chaos, you invite chaos. If you project peace, you draw peace. If you move with dignity, even those who dislike you will hesitate to disrespect you openly. Because your energy teaches people what's acceptable in your presence. Not through words, but through the way you show up every single time. Reflecting respect also means honoring others without lowering yourself. You can disagree without disrespect. You can walk away without resentment. You can hold your boundaries without bitterness. When you approach people from a place of inner balance, you remind them and yourself that respect isn't conditional on behavior, it's a reflection of character. Your reaction doesn't depend on who they are, it depends on who you've decided to be. This reflection becomes most powerful when it's consistent. Anyone can act respectful once, but when you maintain it even under pressure, even when disrespected, that's when your reflection turns into reputation. People begin to understand that your respect for yourself governs how you treat them and how you allow them to treat you. In that space, respect becomes a shared energy, not a contested one. Reflecting respect doesn't mean tolerating mistreatment. It means responding with clarity instead of contempt. When someone crosses a line, you don't meet their disrespect with equal force. You withdraw, redirect, and reinforce your standards through action. That calm decisiveness communicates more than anger ever could. It shows that your respect isn't a reaction, it's a principle. Over time, that reflection builds a kind of quiet influence. You become the person others look to when emotions run high, not because you demand control, but because you embody composure. People trust what's steady, and they follow what's grounded. Your ability to reflect respect, even in moments of tension, shows strength, not submission. And when you live this way long enough, something shifts. You stop needing to teach people how to treat you. Your presence does the teaching for you. Your behavior becomes the lesson. Your peace becomes the proof. Respect ceases to be a request. It becomes the natural response to the way you carry yourself.